Welcome to the newest episode of Sincerely Teens. My name is Raghav and I'm here with Aditya, Cameron, and Ryan. Today we are filming a podcast named Blurry Visions. Aditya, would you like to take over and talk about what Y4Y is?
Sure, Raghav. Basically,
Broomfield Youth for Youth is the advisory group for Broomfield Communities That Care, a community coalition that uses prevention strategies to reduce youth substance use. This summer, Y4Y has been concerned about the legalization of marijuana sales in Broomfield and how we can promote positive social norms to prevent youth use. This summer, we paid close attention to the Healthy Kids Colorado survey. Ryan, can you tell us more about that?
Of course, the Healthy Kids Colorado survey is the only statewide comprehensive survey on health and well-being of young people. This data is specific to our region, which is Broomfield and Boulder. High schools across the state and over 1,400 students responded in our region. Survey's responses are anonymous and confidential. Their survey has been used for over 20 years and it filters all the unfaithful responses.
Great, thanks Ryan. Let's take a look at one of the most surprising pieces of data I found in the survey. It was 85% of high school students do not use marijuana. This was very surprising to me because how accepted marijuana is in our society. And I would personally think it would be around 50% in high schools that do not use marijuana.
yeah.
What do you guys think about this?
I honestly think it would probably be like 40 to 50% too, just because of how normalized marijuana has been in Colorado and in society, like in general. Just like if you go around the country, Colorado is like the state primarily known for marijuana and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And just like all the dispensaries you see, just driving around, I would have thought that number was a lot lower. But that kind of goes into what Cameron was saying earlier about social norms, just like how widely accepted it is in society. Could you tell us more about social norms, Cameron?
So basically social norms, it's like when you walk into an elevator, you're not going to face the wall, you're going to face the door because that's just what people do. That's just kind of accepted. With marijuana, it's kind of the same thing. People just accept that like a lot of people are doing marijuana, but the reality is that not a lot of people are doing it, and so that's kind of what the social norms of marijuana are.
Exactly. I think your definition for social norms is perfect. It's basically accepted behavior in society, and the elevator situation is perfect to represent it.
Yeah, and I think it might be worth talking about how films and popular media kind of contribute to these dangerous social norms. For example, we can see Kendrick Lamar, a popular artist who raps a lot about substances and things like that, when himself, he's been sober for a very long time. Is it irresponsible for these artists and for films and media to endorse things that maybe the producers and artists don't indulge in themselves? What do you guys think?
No, I think that using substance in like a movie or a song, whatever, it's just like a prop. It's not like go out and do drugs or anything. It's just a prop, like a prop gun in a movie. You're not actually shooting somebody. But I also do think, on the other hand, it is kind of irresponsible because some people might not like understand that it's a prop. So I think that just like being careful is like better than just like free for all.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting point that you brought up, Cameron. Artists and films are kind of using substances as props. Maybe then we can explore kind of like the marketability of substances just in everyday life as a social norm. For example, if you're living in Colorado and you want to watch a baseball game, you go to Coors Field. And Coors, that's a company that's popular for alcohol, and that's a substance in itself. So I guess that's just another way that substances are being normalized into our everyday life and into our everyday interaction.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, Aditya, but also when you're watching TV, like commercials, you see a lot of alcohol commercials, beer, whatever, and also parents, like they're drinking in front of their kids. That's like in itself promoting drinking alcohol, even though they might say to you, like, don't drink when you grow up, it's bad for you, whatever, but actions speak louder than words. So that's just like contradicting itself.
Yeah. Cameron, I have a question for you. Do you think that these advertisements should be censored for these kids and youth?
I think in general there should not, like, you shouldn't be promoting any like drug, substance, whatever. For kids, probably, like if you're watching YouTube, TikTok, whatever, there shouldn't be that kind of like advertising. But also like for TVs, you shouldn't do that either.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, but at the end of the day, like, there have been a lot of restrictions placed on kids to ensure that they don't see that kind of content. For example, YouTube Kids is there, and that doesn't show you half the inappropriate content on YouTube. TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, it's all 13 plus. Whether or not people follow that rule, that might be like something else to talk about. But there are restrictions put in place to help make sure that youth aren't really exposed to like dangerous social norms and just like substances in general. But yeah, that's honestly a really good point you made there.
Yeah.
And you were also talking about how, sometimes parents can act as bad role models for their kids.
Mm-hmm.
But we're actually seeing some pretty positive data points in the Healthy Kids Colorado survey in Broomfield. Raghav, could you talk more about that?
Yeah, I think this is a positive to celebrate. 86% of high school students feel that they could ask a parent or guardian for help with a personal problem. And this could be a problem with substances, mental problems, emotional problems, anything. They feel that they can come up to their parent or guardian and ask them a question. And shout out to the Broomfield parents out there doing a great job raising their kids.
Yeah.
And Boulder parents.
And
The
exactly.
Boulder parents, Region 16. Yeah, so I think that's also a great point. And I guess it really is important. What you see on TV and what you see in your everyday interactions are the things that you're going to normalize. So that's a great point there, Cameron.
And I just want to point out one more interesting piece of data. 94% of high school students feel safe in the Broomfield Boulder neighborhoods, and 93% of high schoolers feel safe in school. And I feel like this is a positive because the city of Broomfield has many policies placed to protect youth from substances and just any other alarming privacy issues.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. Broomfield does such a great job, even though marijuana has been like recently legalized here. They do such a great job of ensuring that youth don't get their hands on any substances. Would you guys like to talk about some of those policies and regulations?
All right. Some of these protections Broomfield put in place include requiring a retail license and limiting the amount of stores they actually have in their county, which is only 5 at the moment. And then limit like the location where the stores are allowed. Like, you will not find a marijuana store near a house within 250 feet or near schools in a 1,000-meter radius. And it's not allowed near any drug or alcohol treatment centers to like stop promoting. Like, it's like contradictory. Why would you have a drugstore and then have a treatment center right next to it? That's why they have them far apart. And then not allowing another marijuana store or on the same street as another store to avoid clusters of stores, which makes sense because you can't go to one store, get your marijuana, and then go to another store and get even more marijuana. That's just promoting more harmful use of it and misuse.
And also, something we learned doing this is that all marijuana like businesses actually keep tabs on your like license. So you can't, even if they're not close together, you can't go to one store and then go to the next store and buy more. They keep tabs, and all the stores know that.
Yeah, so I guess a lot of positives here that we've seen in the survey, and I think it's really important that we were able to address a lot of these data points, just because, as we've seen, youth perception shows that we think that a lot of our peers are using substances. We think that we're not doing a good job of controlling substances, when in reality, the data shows the opposite. So I think we've done a really good job of really highlighting all of those points.
Another data point I want to address is that hours of sale of marijuana are limited to 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. in Broomfield. Most of the time that the marijuana shops are open, kids are in school, and it's just another precaution and protection against youth substance abuse. And there's a lot of other great things about Broomfield, like Kids Night Out, and during the summer, actually, students are allowed to go to the rec centers for free just to better themselves and by working out and participating with the Broomfield community.
On top of that, there's the flex ride for transportation. There are just a lot of positives that we see in Broomfield, regardless of what our social norms are and what we seem to think and what's socially accepted. The data proves that things are looking pretty positive in Broomfield. Cameron, would you like to?
Something else I want to point out, going back to Raghav, was the rec centers. They're in like the heart of Broomfield, so there's like paths near like Paul Durda and the BCC that like everybody can get to, so it's very easy access and nobody is really that far away from them.
And the beautiful trails.
Anyhow, so that was our discussion on youth substance abuse and marijuana in Broomfield. I hope you got to learn something from this and maybe your perception of youth substance abuse has changed. We, Broomfield Youth for Youth, will be at the National Night Out on August 2nd next week. If you're around town, come check us out. And I think that's it. Thanks for listening, and it's been fun. See you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.